Today's topic is, can I actually ever heal enough? Can I really do enough in order to feel and live my authentic self joyfully? Is it ever enough? And I hear that from more people, that it's kind of an endless story, and again and again and again. And of course, we know like development is a process, it's a kind of never ending thing. But at the same time, we are so much programmed that we do want to finish, we want to reach somewhere, we want to work things off, make it, that done, so that we have an idea that we are moving towards something. So when we are kind of making seemingly efforts and still we don't have that feeling of, okay, now I'm there, yeah, then it can be quite frustrating, because together with that we feel that we are not healed enough. Then we also feel that our life isn't the expression of who we perhaps could be, and then we become critical more or less towards ourselves, because we think like, okay, when my life to the outside isn't is an expression of who I am, yeah, and my life isn't so glorious as I perhaps wish it to be, then it must be me, nobody else to blame. So then we go again and we go to him, or we follow another workshop and we do another session here and there, and we kind of secretly, even though we know it's a process and we know that it is not good to reject yourself or to push yourself, but still there is this feeling, when will it be perhaps over? So the NEWEX approach looks at things a little bit differently. First of all, when we look at ourselves that we have to heal, that we have wounds, we look at ourselves as something which is kind of damaged and broken. And the NEWEX approach has a very different kind of view towards that. Because in the NEWEX approach, we are talking about, our time, yeah, that we are, even up to now, you can say, yeah, but the early times for sure, yes, that because most of us, we know that we are mainly having our deep wounds from our childhood and early years that have really made that we develop perhaps a lot of coping mechanisms, which we then call later obstacles, and that withhold us to live that joyful, authentic self. Yeah? So in the NEWEX approach, we look at that phase as a forming phase, because we look at ourselves as whole. There is nothing missing and nothing too much. So everything inside of ourselves as it is now, not kind of an imagined version or a spiritual being or something like that, that you feel that is your true nature, that one we take in the office on Monday morning. That person, our human nature. Yeah. So, and that one is whole. And why that is true and why there is nothing broken, yeah, I would like to explain a little bit more. Because you can say like, yeah, but there's so much pain. There's so much pain. And yes, the forming might have been painful. And for some of us, extremely painful. And we might even carry those forming tools, as I call them, still with us. Yeah. While we are actually ready, yeah, to let the forming tool go. Yeah, because the forming has been taken place. We are, everything inside of us is already there to make our unique human energy that we carry in life. You might say, yeah, but those destructive traits, yes, coping mechanisms in order to be coherent again, in my system. It's an innate system too, because we need to be coherent. So we have, it's the protective brains that we have, brainstem and also the limbic system, which makes that it protects us. It is its task to protect us. And when we had encountered in our young years situations we couldn't deal with, then we have developed a certain behavior, something we did which was functional at that time, yeah, and because it regulated us. Unfortunately, in an environment which is not safe, it gets stuck there. It feels still, oh, this is the way how I deal it. And then you can say, yeah, exactly. This is where I have to heal. I have already healed a lot of those kind of situations. And but it is not a point that that trait is not part of you. And this is the misunderstanding, that we think that when our biological growing up has taken place, like we are a grown-up adult person, 16, 17, 18, 20, 21, 22, depending a little bit how tall, how male, female. Yeah. But when that physical growth has taken place, then we are grown up, and then we should actually be ready. And everything that then still develops inside of ourselves is kind of a mistake, because we should be ready. But of course, we know it is not like that. Our emotional, our social, and of course also our spiritual development is actually starting at that time. This is also why I call it in the NEWEX forming phase. for our social, emotional, and spiritual being to unfold further, to develop further. And just like our physical body, nobody had to tell our physical body to grow up. It just grew up. Yeah, when we got the chance, that we made it up to that age, we are growing up. It's not just stopping. We don't stay a child. Yeah, but because of the potential that lies in it, and the spiritual and social and emotional development, starts actually from that age when the biggest physical development has taken place. So mostly like when you're 18 to 22, something like that. Yeah. So then we get our invitations that we are developed further. And then now is the point. So the trait that made that you are coherent in your body, physical body, that you are again at peace, that everything is functioning again. Yeah. So that behavior develops also further. Everything in nature develops further. This is also why I call it organic development. So everything in nature is developing by itself. We don't need to push it. The grass doesn't grow faster when you pull it. Yeah. So we don't need to push it. Even to the contrary, the more we are pushing someone to develop, to do, the more we are directing and deciding and do, the more we are limiting what wants to unfold organically. Yeah. So not pushing, but just seeing of what it is. And for that, I would like to give a small example. This natural development of each trait inside of us, that is developing further after we are physically growing. And before it cannot, because it's still in the forming phase. It is so much ingrained in our energy, that we cannot not do it. Yeah, it stays like that. And I call that the unchangeable, always visible essence. It's very unique, very special. Every trait has its very own, which is visible as well when it is in self-protection or need fulfillment. It expresses itself on that level as much as it is when it is expressed on enrichment. And also that it wants to make that movement towards enrichment is inherent to our nature, because a grown-up person has a desire to contribute, not only to receive. Yeah, it wants to contribute. You don't have to tell it. It is just innate. It is there. And so also this path, this aspect inside of ourselves, this inner children or subpersonality, however you want to call it, they have that capacity to develop by themselves from self-protective to enrichment. And they do that when they feel safe enough, the environment is safe enough so that it can explore. It can move out of the comfort zone and try new ways. And those new ways of doing that is very surprising, because we are just observing that to happen. But for that, we need to see that. And it's important that we have many, many examples for that. So, and one, I want to share that with you, and perhaps more you can get on my YouTube when you have interest in that, or perhaps you choose to join the app for some time. Yeah, so you can have different kind of ways. But let me just take one. Let me take withdrawal. Some people, they really suffer that, because the moment that something gets hostile in a meeting, things are coming up or something like that, instead of talking and standing up, what we then call authentic. Yeah, but I don't want to talk about that one today. That's another time. Yeah, but what we call authentic. Yeah, they say like, again, I did not speak up. And then the internal movie turns out, and then the self-blame comes perhaps, but you cannot just talk. Yeah. So it's self-protective. You don't want to embarrass yourself, or you have other beliefs and other inner movies that are running, what makes that those situations where you are having it from, it was better to keep silent, get yourself out of the picture, whatever the situation was. Yeah, when there was some tension, yeah, it was better for you those days to keep quiet, yeah, to take yourself out of it. But when we can look at the UAV, the unchangeable, always visible essence of that trait, we are stripping off any expectations, any thought pattern of how something should be, any idea of what you have about withdrawal, any judgment, any experiences that you have with it, anything of what it has cost you. But we simply look at what is it when we just calibrate, when we just look at it without any interpretation, past or future. And then withdraw is basically that you take a distance. You take a distance. And many people who are withdrawers, yeah, they have the capacity to sense and screen the surrounding. They're very much aware of that, of what is going on. Now, sometimes you have also people who really shut themselves off. So this is also why I say the UF is very, very unique. And this is why we have a short investigation about the UF. So let us just say that you are a person who screens the environment. You are very much aware what is all going on, but you take a distance. You don't dare to speak up. But just imagine now, yeah. So what you're doing is taking a distance. I take a distance. I'm very much aware of what is going on in each of those people. And we know, of course, when you're afraid and you have your internal movie running, that it is dangerous out there, you are also filtered in a way that you are misled in what you are interpreting out of the facial expressions. But just imagine that there is no fear involved either. You're just knowing, you're sensing what is going on. Yeah, you have perhaps your own thoughts, you have your ideas about of what you would like to contribute, but you are not a person who is pushing himself in the middle, wants to be seen, wants to be heard, elbows are coming out or something like that. That's not you. Yeah, you are one who sits, has everything in the picture. Yeah, and then when you're fearless and you feel that you can contribute or that it is worthwhile the effort, yeah, to do that in this way, you will speak. But you are just not the person who is just jumping into. Yeah? And I'm sure you have also these kind of situations where you perhaps feel safe, that what then comes out of your mouth is really something of value. Yeah, and I'm sure that when you're older of that kind of withdrawal, yeah, then when you later share perhaps your thoughts also, yeah, then people might say, oh, yeah, why did you say that? That is such a good idea. Yeah. But because it is still auto self-protection and the inner movie, the forming tools are just running, yeah, you cannot yet do that. But the moment that you are expecting from yourself in a meeting, yeah, to really be assertive and to talk and to, do this thing, what they call, authentic, yeah, then you are actually getting away from yourself. You're getting away from your authentic self-expression. Authenticity is actually meaning to live yourself fearlessly, but yourself, not some kind of checklist of what people then call authentic. It is all inside of you. You do your thing on your very specific own way. And for that aspect of yours to feel so safe, yeah, that it can express itself in its own way, not like elbows and loud and trying to win from others. That's not your style. That's not your style. Yeah. Then you are creating this safe environment for yourself. And that is again the observing presence. And that is what comes in when you are in contact with this observing presence, which we train in the app, to expanding observing presence. There is a lot of knowing into it and continuously, actually just in daily life, you know, not somewhere else, yeah, to practice this kind of getting always the observer of what is happening, the neutral observer of what is happening. Yeah, and the more you train that observing presence, yeah, and then you create that surrounding for your inner aspects. There's of course not just one, you have a whole family sitting there, a whole team working for you to keep you safe. Yeah, but the more safe they feel, the less self-protective they have to be. Makes sense, I believe. Yeah, and the more constructive they can be for you, because every single one of them, yeah, has the capacity to be constructive for you, to be enriching for you. And when we see them and when we say yes to them, yeah, in the beginning it's nice to see the UF, but actually you don't even need to see the UF. You can just know it's there and be enthusiastic about who you are just by knowing that every single aspect in you is absolutely meant to be there. Yeah, so you have already reached that authentic self-expression. And of course you might say like, yeah, but many of my aspects are not developed, they are underdeveloped, and you know, they don't serve myself, and I'm suffering them. And that is probably true. Yeah, that, I mean, how could I ever doubt that? Yeah, but the moment that the observing presence is the most dominant energy that you're holding, you allow those aspects to be there. You also are able to listen well to them. You're able to be in contact with them, to be with them, because the biggest fear that we have, that is that we are alone. And then we need to kind of really protect ourselves when we are alone. So observing presence, expanding observing presence, directing that in the first place to your inner family, later also it goes much further than that. Yeah, and what we do, like with meditation, we very often we are not that supporting observing presence. We are just the observer. Yeah, and we let everything that we feel just come passing by. Yeah? But in a way, of course, when you're raising your energy, and I know that firsthand, because in 2013 I was pretty much, you know, on a daily basis in a meditative state, seeing the love everywhere and seeing the spaciousness in everything. So it was wonderful, but I also was bypassing my inner world. Yeah, and they could not. I was ignoring them, and of course my very pure nature was there, and of course my ex-husband was very much able to get myself out of that, but I was also very quickly back in. But those days, um, when I left to Germany for some years, also to take care of my parents, yeah, then I came to know them again, yeah? And then I learned this observing presence, yeah, which is wonderful, that we perhaps already have strengthened through meditation. Yeah, when we direct it towards our family, it goes a step down because it takes care. Yeah, it communicates perhaps also, and it's just there for you. But that makes that in daily life, yeah, we can hold that presence, and in daily life we can allow ourselves to live ourselves truly freely, meaning there is no mind concept that you have to hold and to live up to. I mean, the moment that you are doing that, the moment you are acknowledging your wholeness, and then you are done with, I have to heal, yeah, till I can be myself. It is being yourself, and being authentic is an awareness and also wholeness and freedom. This is something you can never achieve through an action. It is an awareness that rises inside of us. Yeah? When we get space for doing that. In meditation, we can do that because we are kind of letting go piece of that inner family, and the protective brains that we have required them, and there we can experience that. Yeah? But we can take that, it's so difficult to take it into normal life. Yeah? And there it is needed the most, and because we are not sitting on the Himalayas excluded from life. And it was I call that also sometimes the old spirituality. It was brilliant that it was like that, because they held the energy high for us being more quicker in connection with it. Yeah. But finally, it is up to bring it really into daily. And that is really, really hard when you try to hold up to any mind concept of who you are and how you should behave and what you should do. Yeah. And letting go any mind concept and to truly trust your own goodness and your nature. And in the NEWEX Hub, and it is like an interactive book. Yeah, it is very, very rich. 10 assumptions, all space giving assumptions to strengthen the observing presence, because that is what you can just do, and it holds everything. Yeah, because you are it, but you are directing it also towards your inner world. You know your inner world, you know your aspects, you know their UAs, you know what they are doing for you. And because they are seen, that's so funny. The moment that they are seen, something directly shifts inside of you. Because that is what they want. They want to be seen and not looked at as an obstacle or a pain of the past or something like that. I mean, wow, just imagine you are looked at like that. Do you feel safe? I mean, of course not. Yeah, really to feel welcome, to be seen for your qualities that you have, even though you might not yet be so great. Yeah, but still, of course, we want to be seen, and those aspects want to be seen. We can call it ego or something like that, but it is for 80, 90%, some people say even more, driving our daily actions. It determines like how we feel. Of course, we can kind of go separate of it. We can go in meditation. We can practice awareness and all these kind of things, being in the now, mindfulness, and these are all beautiful practices, absolutely. Yeah. But when we are, and I did that for so many years that I kind of did not attend to my inner world. I let it be. Yeah, I did not fight it, even though that's also not true. Sometimes I was really pissed off about certain things, and of course I went again to a session, and yeah, name it. Yeah. But even when you go to a therapist all the time you're right there, you have not a feeling that you're okay, honestly said. Yeah, there's something wrong with you then. There's something wrong with you when it's looked like that. And this is a direct shift, and this shifts directly like how those inner aspects feel in your presence. Yeah. Okay, so the question from the beginning, is there ever coming an end, of healing? Is it ever enough in order to live joyfully your authentic self? Yes. Yes. Today, it can be enough. Yeah. Strengthen the observing presence. Shift how you look at that, at yourself. Really, I invite you so much to stop looking at yourself as something that needs to be healed, that is damaged. Yeah, it is victim role. It is, and also by that, yeah, also by that, you cannot fully acknowledge the pain because shame comes into it. And you might say, no, I'm not ashamed of anything. No, my parents perhaps should be ashamed of how they did A, B, C, D, or my ex, or whatsoever. And perhaps you have passed that one also. You're in love with everyone. Yeah, but those aspects inside of you, they're not. They're still angry. They still feel that things should have been different. And they're not there. Yeah, they are there to protect you. And they simply must feel safe, loved, looked at. Yeah. And that is something to change that attitude, to look at yourself as whole, to allow that awareness to come to you and to rise within you. That you are whole, that you're not broken, that there's nothing missing and nothing too much in you. That I wish you. And if you find this interesting, then I'm also very, very happy to welcome you to the app. It's very simple. You just enroll, and it's on your smartphone, and it guides you through the things, inspirational texts, the assumptions, powerful guided internal processes with frequencies, and of course your support team. Every week you get another support body, and you remind each other, to stay in this observing presence, because daily activities so easily make us being totally identified with all the life situations we are in. And I love you to really look at life as a big playground designed for you, and where you are free, invited to play, just joyfully with all your heart.